It is 1 o'clock. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Jackson Williams. In Titans news, the team announced yesterday that they have agreed to terms with safety Chimray Diggs. Diggs was with the Titans last season, starting 8 games before a Lisfranc injury ended his season early. Titans head to Tampa today as they have a day of joint practice with the Bucs before their preseason game on Saturday. In other NFL news, Keenan Allen and the Chargers agreed to terms on a 1-year deal that brings the wide receiver back to the place where he played the first 11 seasons of his career after being drafted in the 3rd round of the 2013 NFL Draft. He amassed over 10,000 yards and 59 touchdowns with the franchise in his first stint. For your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Two with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons right here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, 615-737-1045. You want to get in on the conversation. Later this hour, around 1:45, we'll have a one-on-one interview I did with Chimray DK out on the after practice. He had a pretty good, nice day. He had a toe tap catch on the sidelines and everything. So got to talk to him a little bit about his experience in Florida and what does and doesn't translate into this scheme and all that kind of stuff. That'll be at 1:45 later today. But after all the talk for like the last week with this Titans practice and all this kind of stuff, finally got a pretty good day from the offense. Not a great day, but this was a day where I'm watching 1v1s with the pass blockers and pass rushers. I'm watching 7-on-7s, 11-on-11s. And outside of the 2-minute drill, a lot of give and take in all these drills where it seems like the offense was, winning some. The defense was losing some. Defense was winning. Offense was losing. But today was probably the best Cam Ward day I have seen because they got to operate the 2-minute drill. They moved all the way down the field. In fact, all 3 quarterbacks led the 2-minute drill all the way down the field, and it ended in scoring opportunities. Maybe that says a lot about the defense, but I don't know. But pretty good day for Cam Ward overall, and it's something that you've been wanting to see where, okay, they're not in 3rd and long all the time. They're not practicing that. They got a little bit of runs in. They got some screen game in. They got some deep shots. They pretty much hit everything they could in a 2-minute drill, and he looked good. So, have to say, it's kind of what you want to see, but now you want to see it consistently. But we got to see that give and take that we have been kind of looking for instead of one unit pretty much dominating throughout practice.
Well, the offense dominated is what you're saying, right?
Well, I guess in some situations, yeah. The 11 specifically the Cam Ward dominated both of his 11-on-11 drills because they had 11-on-11 short red zone, I think, or long red zone, and then they had 11-on-11 2-minute drill, and Cam Ward looked good in both. But, second and third string did not look good in the one, but looked good in the other, so.
Well, hey, this is how it's supposed to be, give and take. Maybe not to this degree of as far as
there is a little bit of a swing, right?
Swing here. But, 2 minutes, to be all honest, I always talk about what side of the ball, the drill. The 2-minute drill is a offensive-driven drill that usually favors the offense until they get into the red zone.
Right.
So they did complete touchdowns in the red zone, so I got to give them credit. That that was a great job there. So, moving the ball down, you can dink and dunk, and it's kind of one of those things, I used to hate it in practice. You feel like you're losing as a defensive player. In reality, you got to look at the situation. Was it a point of emphasis where you're just trying to keep them from scoring a touchdown, or were you just trying to keep them from scoring a field goal? So those are the differences of when you're doing the 2-minute drill, which is unpredictable because we don't know. It's just a 2-minute drill. You're just trying to move the ball down the field. So the defense is calling plays based off of what they're trying to prevent. So I would say it leaned into, but they executed really well, and you got to give them, tip the cap. Yeah, Cam, it's probably his best day by far. He was pinpointing, and that's how it should be at points in time. I'd rather see steady flow than the highs and lows. That's the type of player I was, whether you want to see a guy that's making a spectacular play and he picks the ball and runs it for a touchdown, then all of a sudden you see him get beat 3 or 4 times.
Right.
Or do you want to see the steady 80 guy and you never saying his name? We never saying more his name, are we? Yeah, so we're thinking he's doing okay.
Well, I'll be saying it a little bit today. But.
Right. I mean, we could say that, he's doing okay.
But you're right.
So I just kind of like that because that to me shows consistency. And from a coach's perspective, especially at the quarterback, but all positions, you're trying to gain trust. And then when you do have those falters or failures or mishaps, then you understand why it happened, and then you move on, and it's like it was nothing. It was just a bump in the road, So it's like a little pimple you burst there, a little whitehead there. So, so I'm not going to get all bent out of shape just like I didn't when he went and was playing really bad, because this is what I expected, highs and lows. I want to see steady 80 now. And then I want to see how they respond, I was listening to Ridley talk, and he really been a veteran player, spoke on it, because he said, guess what? We still could have played a lot better.
Yep.
So what he's actually trying to do is say, let's not be happy because we had a good day. Let's see if we can come back and stack those days. That's what he's really talking about. Naturally, they could have done better in some different areas. Everybody could at any position. You could say that every single day. So I think that's what he's trying to, do is make people, his teammates kind of continually plug, and especially on the offense, plugging and try to, be more like this than the other side of that.
Being good isn't good enough.
Yeah, you can't be complacent. I think that's what he's trying to do, trying to keep guys from being complacent, having a good day.
Took it too.
Yeah. So hey, but it's still good for Cam Ward. I did a radio show in Florida, man, and they asked me, could they be a overachiever type team? And I'll go, I don't see any of that.
Yeah.
Because national media people are starting to say these things that in the AFC South, the Tennessee Titans could be a surprise team. I said, well, I'll be.
It would be a surprise.
I said, I would be just as surprised as you if that happened. But I said, they got a shot to win 6 or 7 max games. I said, but if they do more than that, man, they have definitely turned the corner, and then that'd be somebody, a team to watch. But
right.
I said, I don't see anywhere a surprise team coming.
I would love to.
I said, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I would love to have been, in these other quick turnaround teams, and like the teams, the media covering them, to figure out what was that kind of vibe. Because I do think here, we definitely have more modest expectations, I think, for Cam Ward and what this offense and what this team can be, because there are so many new pieces, and we haven't seen a lot of consistency. Because that's really what we're looking for, is that good consistency. And like today, Cam Ward, there were a couple of times he held on to the ball too long, but he was able to maneuver and make some throws. He got bailed out on a tip pass. Tony Pollard, it got tipped on a screen. Tony Pollard was able to catch it and get like 3 or 4 yards. You still saw some bad, to Calvin Ridley's point. It wasn't, it was fine in how he kind of used it.
You think this kind of bad, right?
Yeah. But like at the end of the day, I have to say, I was actually kind of surprised it looked that good. But to Brian Callahan's point, and we'll hear from Brian Callahan later, he felt the vibes this morning. He thought that since Sunday's practice, Cam Ward, he's liked what he's seen from Cam Ward inside the building, in some of the walkthroughs and practices. He kind of was alluding that there could be a bounce back today. And now, again, to your point, it's a little bit more offense leans in favor, a little bit more of the offense doing the 2-minute drill, but you still got to go out there and execute, even if it is in your favor, because we've seen Tennessee Titans not execute when things are in their favor. And, again, that's the Cam Ward I think everybody was kind of looking for throughout this training camp so far. You got it. You may not see it tomorrow if you're down in Tampa. It may be a totally different, more version of the other one. It doesn't mean anything, because he is a guy that seems to learn, adapt, and keep a even keel to his personality?
Well, if you're referencing his play, it doesn't mean anymore. It does mean something. It absolutely does. Because if you want to see steady play, it's not just about him internally, how he's steady at it. It's also about what you do on the field. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And I'm going to say this. I would feel worse after games and we won because I know we can't keep winning like how we won.
Kind of like it to like the 7-5 start to the 2022 season, where you're kind of like, this ain't sustainable.
Yeah, right. So I mean, you know, as players, and everybody knows that, you know, we got somewhat lucky and got some breaks here or there. That's not going to happen on a continuous basis. You're not going to have a big play out of nowhere, or 80-yard pass like we were in freaking high school, and they're going to win a game, because nobody's going to always be the fastest guy on the football field. It's just not going to happen. So those are the games and the times that you really like, oh, man, we got to get. And that's what drives you to come back and be better. And you hopefully everybody's kind of thinking that way. So I think that's what the mindset of Callahan and what he's trying to implement here is, don't be satisfied. And Ridley, by saying that, you know, with having success, let's now stack some days. Let's show we can respond and continue to do this over and over and over again. And some days may not be as good, but we can't go down to a low where we're getting dominated and we're giving up 3 picks and nobody's open and he has to force things.
Yeah, you may not be able to duplicate the success you saw today against Tampa Bay, but you don't want to take so many steps back. You're going back to what everybody reported Sunday was, or that day that he threw 3 interceptions. He's still going to have down times,
yes,
but you don't want to see downtrodden, beaten down, really bad times, because that. To your point, we were talking about how the offense the momentum swung heavily in favor of the offense today in today's practice, where it's been the defense. Those wild swings like that in performance aren't a good sign.
Yeah, I would say not. So, I mean, what was his numbers? I know Jim Wyatt does all the calculate 5 for 14 or whatever the number was. It was just like, we can't have days. And you're going to throw picks, okay, but we can't have five for whatever it was, or, you know, you got to complete balls. And, hey, if you throw a couple picks along the way trying to test some things out, or somebody made the wrong, you know, cut and didn't sit down, then okay, so be it. But no, we can't have those kind of days.
I did think it was interesting that they kind of worked the words efficient back into the vocabulary today. Calvin Ridley was one of the guys to say efficient. I've heard Dan Moore say it too. But to your point about today, it was like Cam Ward went 13 of 15 in team periods on the day. 15 of 9, and then 2 of 4 and 7 on 7, 15 of 19 on the day with a touchdown. I think a couple of touchdowns, actually, one to Ellick and one to Lockett. And that is a drastically different version of Cam Ward than what we have seen based on stats and based on what we've seen on the field. So to your point, yeah, you don't want to see him go from like, you know, what is it, 15 of 19 to 5 of 14.
Yeah.
That would be a really bad sign.
That's what I'm saying. It does matter, but just don't get, you know, our underwear in a wad because he had a horrific day. We just got to say, okay, this is the way the process is going to work for a young, growing quarterback, first-time quarterback. So, you know, you don't have those kind of feelings if it's some veteran quarterback who's proven in this league. So we just can't get, you know, emotional about, you know, having a bad day. You know,
or get just emotional about having a good day.
Right. Highs or lows, right? So just imagine if the player was exactly how the fans or media are covering having a bad day or a good day.
Yeah.
Watch this. We'll go to break because that's Will Levis.
There you go. It is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons right here on 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, it's Blaine Bishop, and listen, fellas, if your energy and confidence or performance in the bedroom isn't what it used to be, Jackson, you're not alone. But here's the truth. Masking the symptoms with pills isn't fixing the problem. At Edge Peptide Therapy, they specialize in sexual health treatments that actually target the root cause of ED and performance issues, whether it's low testosterone, poor blood flow, or hormone imbalance. And if you're not dealing with a full-blown ED, Their programs can take your performance and stamina and drive it to the next level. Yes, thank you. It's not about patching it. It's about getting your edge back for good. I've seen firsthand what it's done for men, and I know this stuff works. And all you have to do is just visit edgepeptide.com to get back to being your best. Yes, that's edgepeptide.com.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. As we were going off the air yesterday, we were talking about Bledsoe, who just got signed by the Tennessee Titans.
Drew Bledsoe's cousin.
Yeah, Drew Bledsoe's cousin is what people told me.
Just joking.
And
we had to have Jackson make sure we looked that up. I think they're two
But
different.
speaking of cousins,
it was two
Quandre
different
Diggs, cousin of Cam Ward, an actual cousin of Cam Ward.
They are the same complexion.
Yeah, signed with the Tennessee Titans. And it was interesting because they signed 2 safeties, cut an outside linebacker in Titus Leo, and then cut, another safety, Mark Perry. But this is coming off the heels of Sunday's practice where Kevin Winston left dealing with soreness. And after Quandre Diggs signed, the reports coming out from Buck and PK and a couple of others is that this has nothing to do with Kevin Winston. Not sure I'm in particularly buying that, to be honest, because guess what? Kevin Winston wasn't out there today. I'm not saying pull the alarm or I have any inside information. Just seems like, 2 + 2, they're trying to make it equal 5, and 2 + 2 = 4 sometimes. But I find it interesting because I do think this is a situation where a team that wants to play a little bit more dime packages, which is an extra safety inside the box, typically. And I think they wanted to do it last year, but then they the personnel wasn't going to allow them, or they didn't have the guys, because then Quandre Diggs went down with injury. Jamal Adams, he went down with injury fairly early, and then they traded Elijah Molden. Yeah,
he requested to be cut.
Yeah, I think at some point.
He signed back with the Raiders as a linebacker. They moved him to linebacker.
Oh, did they really?
Pete Carroll.
Kind of doing the Mark Barron thing,
Adams.
huh? The Mark Barron. Mark Barron did that.
Yeah, they did. Barron. Yeah, he was definitely ready to do that. He reminded me a little bit. He just wasn't as fast and as athletic as Brian Dawkins.
But last year they ran dime 1% of the time, which ranked 32nd in the NFL. They were number 2 in nickel packages with 85% running nickel. So I wondered if this is just more numbers game, a little bit of insurance with Quandre Diggs being back there. You also got some veteran leadership, a guy that people can learn from, and a guy that's not content with it being just a backup. He's going to be fighting for try to get a starting spot. That's what he said. Yeah, we'll see how that actually turns out. But I do think that in the end, that if you were trying to play the roster numbers game, maybe instead of keeping 4 safeties, they're now keeping 5 safeties and maybe only keeping 4 linebackers. That could be the trade-off that you see on this roster. And listen, their kind of safety is probably the best position group on this team, maybe. There's maybe some arguments for others, but kind of the deepest going right now.
That's kind of interesting. Bring that up. It made me think about what direction they'll go for roster, and then after the season starts, so they don't have to guarantee money, do they then bring back, let's say, that linebacker that was released or that safety that was released to bring back that 5th guy, and maybe it'll be a week-to-week game plan depending on how much they want to use safeties or how much, the teams are throwing the football, but yet you got to be able to stop the run. So that'll be interesting. Something to watch, though. I'm definitely on board with that, but because you could have signed Diggs probably, a month ago. He knows the defense.
He said he's been healthy for two months.
2 months. So, yeah, he had that, I had that Liz Franks, and that's actually why the Titans cut me, because I had a Liz Franks injury. So that's kind of a tough injuries one. He just got arrested. You can't really get back out there until it's completely healed. So obviously he was out there doing a little bit of stuff today. So, yeah, he's going to come in and compete. He's got a veteran. He's got heck of a resume, and he's going to want to play, So if he's not playing, I'm wondering, okay, is he a good teammate? They must know, even if he's not the starter, he's just a part-time player, that he'll be good to be in, not only just in the locker room, but also in the meetings, helping develop some of these young guys. And by the way, let's not forget Mr. Hooker, who's a real good player. last couple of years missed some games, 2 or 3, 4 games. So, you got another veteran there right there. And so I don't know what they think about Woods right now, but Woods seems solid. We're not calling his name a lot for anything bad or good. So
yeah, I mean, he's been out there making plays.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple defensive notes I want to get to. None about Xavier Woods, unfortunately, but here's what Quandre Diggs said. He said he had multiple teams reach out to him, but this is why he chose the Tennessee Titans.
I love the coaching staff. I love my coaching staff. Obviously, I had Tony Oden, who's my corners coach, my first 3 years in the league. Obviously, brings another dynamic to the coaching staff. It's always a treat when you can look over there and see your little cousin as a starting quarterback, your best friend, your number 2 receiver, and I got Hook, and I got Jeff, and I got Arden, and I got all these guys that I built special bonds with last year. So why not go somewhere where you're familiar with the guys over there, and let it shake out how it's supposed to. I love it.
At the end of the day, familiarity. I mean, that's really what he's preaching, being comfortable and stuff. And listen, he may have had a couple of different teams reach out to him. I don't know. But the way he talks about it, he's got Tyler Lockett here. He talks about Tony Oden as his cornerbacks coach, someone that he has ties to, love the staff, love the players. And then he gets to play with Cam Ward a little bit. But I also think he kind of feels there's an opportunity for me to get that starting job next to Hooker if things go my way this offseason.
Yeah, well, his resume, I don't think Woods has 3 Pro Bowls, but, he's not been in the league as long. So, yeah, comfortability, you make those kind of decisions, relationships, but also, man, he can cut it loose because not only do they understand who he is, he understands the defense. Now he can just go play. There's none of this, let me learn the scheme and the system. Let the coaches get to know me a little bit better about what I can and can't do in their defense. So that all plays a part. And he's not coming in saying, they didn't surprise me and say, we're not going to do any of the stuff that you did in the past. We want you to do this for us, which you're like, well, dang, I wish I would have told me at first. I mean, if I'm just going to be out here calling plays, I can't go out here and be a playmaker. Right. I would have went to one of these other 2 teams. So, I think he trusts them. He played solid before, not a Pro Bowl level, but he was definitely a solid starter before he got injured last year. So hopefully he can at least get back to that, and I think they'll be really happy. And he will be, too.
He was a guy that, out of all the things that we saw through those first I think he played 8 games, those first 8 weeks. He was always a guy that was always in the right spot at the right time, knew his assignment, knew his run fits. He knew when to trigger. He was quick to diagnose. Again, he may have not been the most physically gifted or having the interceptions and pass breakups that get you typically to the Pro Bowl, but he was a pretty good serviceable safety that on a defense where there weren't a lot of guys, I felt like, fitting their run fits and being disciplined in their assignment. He was one of the few guys on this defense that actually was. And then when you saw how this defense kind of went really sideways when they traded Ernest Jones, and then a week or 2 later, Quandre Diggs goes down with injury, and then that's when the dam started to break loose for this run defense. And I'm not saying that, Quandre Diggs is the linchpin, but you only get so many new players added in before you start realizing the communication isn't there. And it really seemed the communication between Hooker and Quandre Diggs was on par with a really good defense. You didn't have to worry about it. Then you had to put in guys like Darryl Worley or Mike Brown out there, and it just wasn't the same. Wasn't terrible, but wasn't the same. But I've seen that with Xavier Woods and Amani Hooker. A lot of communication, a lot of, give and take, ebb and flow with them too. And I just think that I don't know what they're going to do with all these safeties, but right now I don't have that big of a concern with those 2 positions, no matter who's playing back there, whether it's Winston and Diggs or Winston and Woods or Woods and Hooker. Right now it all is kind of looking like it could work if someone were to go down with injury and miss time.
I think Woods and Hooker have a little more versatility.
I'd agree with that.
To play in the box, back deep. I think Diggs is kind of more of a general and let him play the post, and that's when he's at his best and breaking on the ball and reading quarterbacks. I'll be real interested. I'm going to be watching for him when he starts practicing on a day-to-day basis. First question is coming when you have that list, Frank's injury, which I had, which is a foot injury, by the way. I don't know if some people know what that is. It's a foot injury, and I think he had surgery. I chose not to get to surgery. I chose rest because once you start putting screws in your foot, you never kind of rekindle that, especially when you're at year 11. So I'll be watching for his speed and on those breaks and cuts and things of that nature to see how his body responds when he starts to get out here and even in these preseason games to see if his foot holds up. That'll be very, very, very interesting because that injury, sometimes guys start having issues as time goes on, like middle of the season, because it's hard to put a screw in bones in the foot, which is the main bone in your foot. So I'll be watching that. So you always wonder if he's just going to lose a half a step here. It wasn't like he was a super fast safety at this point of his career anyway, but that could make a difference on, if he's, making plays like he used to.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see just how they deploy these 4 guys because, including Winston, when they use them, how they use them. Is it going to be almost a rotation? Obviously, Monty Hooker's always going to be out there. But, is this going to be where they have 3 safeties? I tend to think
I do like this move, though.
Yeah.
I do like this move.
I think it's a great move. Mm-hmm. And to me, this is a move where, because we've kind of talked about bringing in veterans, a veteran like Zadarius Smith, right? Mm-hmm. You're probably going to have to overpay, and then is he even going to want to come here? This seemed like a perfect marriage veteran signing where he wants to be here. He understands the state of the team. Heck, he was on the team last year. We don't know what the contract numbers are, but I'm sure it's very modest.
Yeah, I think it's a little above veteran minimum.
Probably, yeah. I would agree with that. And so it's a low risk signing with high upside because he can affect so many different things for this defense, not only just on the field, off the field. So to me, more depth the better is how Vandy Man AD put it in the F&M Bank chat, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live. And it's quality depth because you start going into and watching these practices, Blaine. It's something that Easton's been harping on for a little bit, but cornerback depth, it's a little shaky, especially without L'Jarius Sneed. Because if one of these
I think
guys,
I said this 2 weeks ago, the cornerback depth in the pass rush. So I don't know what Easton said, but I don't know if Easton's taking my content and taking it into
maybe
articles.
he is. I don't know. Maybe he is.
I think that's pretty clear that I said that they need a veteran corner. I'm not comfortable with if Snead can't go. I'm not comfortable. I like Baker in a situational, being a starter every other 4 games, but after that, you can really see that he is not that.
Yeah.
That he is, you can get away with it for some games, but then you'll start seeing some of his flaws in his game. And I just think on a week-to-week, I hope I'm wrong because he did do a heck of a job last year. But what
do you think about the defensive line depth? Because I've seen a lot of people talk about that the defensive line group, and I'm talking not the edge rushers, but your Jeffrey Simmons, Sebastian Joseph Day, Tavondre Sweat, those guys. Being the best position group on the team. And I agreed to that to a certain extent. It's the best position group, but it's also the most top-heavy because you do got Tavondre Sweat, Jeffrey Simmons. If one of those two, and Sebastian Joseph, if one of those two guys go down, your depth takes a real big hit because, I like James Lynch, and then whoever they may have behind him, I guess maybe Jihad Ward would then switch to that. But this depth behind this defensive line rotation it's probably just as dire as compared to, in fact, the safeties and linebackers, I think, have the best depth of the groups.
Yeah, that would be interesting. What was the guy they cut? I liked him. I know he came off an injury last year, 91, the guy they cut earlier in training camp, right after the first day.
Keandre Coburn?
Yeah, I actually like him as a depth piece. Now, you're talking about maybe the last guy, but I do like him. So maybe, I don't know. I don't think he's signed anywhere. So, you can always bring somebody back like that. But,
I think he did go somewhere.
Did he sign somewhere? But, I don't know.
The Raiders. Because they got rid of Christian Wilkins almost at the same exact time.
Available, okay. Yeah, so someone of that ilk. But as far as pass rushers, I think they're content with waiting till camp is up and seeing where Femi kind of finds his way. And they feel like those veteran guys that they got to give probably, I don't know, between $3 and $7 million maybe. somewhere in that line with a pass rusher that they can wait, and those guys won't miss a beat. They can come in and you say, go get the quarterback. It's not that hard to learn the schemes and system to that. So I think they're kind of waiting on that. But I do think they need another guy. I would feel much more comfortable. Then you're keeping a guy. It's kind of a guy like Key, but maybe not quite as good, but you're getting less play from that as far as reps. Those veteran pass rushers that's been in the league a long time, they bring a lot of value because they've lost the speed, some speed in their pass rush, and they still keep getting numbers. And that's value, and that's understanding how to approach your one-on-one matchups and coming up with a game plan each and every time you play somebody and what will work and what won't based off of, what tools you have. So, yeah. I mean, here's a good example of that. Who's the guy for the Bengals that's holding out?
Oh, Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, you go put him on a 40, he probably not winning a lot of them. Yeah, but when you put him out there to go pass rush, this guy knows how to freaking pass rush. I've liked him from day one. I wish they would have had a shot at signing him when he was a free agent. But, yeah, this guy just knows how to get after the quarterback. So, I learned a lot because I used to blitz. And so I used to talk to pass rushers about what they would be thinking when they're rushing. And sometimes they're just doing all these different hand movements and gestures and going slow-mo, kind of thinking about what they're going to do this week, not actually against somebody in practice. It's like, man, what are you doing, man? What do I need? Besides my speed to power, I want more than that because I'm coming from high, so I'm going to have some power. They was like, hey, man, it's all about hand placement and being a shorter arm guy. He said the biggest thing you're going to have is you use your speed. So speed to stutter to stop. So just imagine, an offensive lineman have to stop and start against your speed coming from where you're coming from. Said that alone, and then just having kind of some form of a chop or lean. They talk about the motorcycle lean, but he says you're small. So remember, Sean Jones told me that you're small, so you can get under the pads and hit that corner that we can't get to just because there's no way, not unless they get their hands on you first. So it kind of helped me understand, coming up with a game plan instead of just rushing, And I think that's what everybody's out there trying to learn at the same time, come with a game plan. Femi's got to figure it out, sooner than later. And he will, but you just don't know when that will happen. It could be the middle of the season.
Yeah. And then there seems to be, like today, because I wanted to focus on Femi Oladipo because I've heard all these things about him, and I'm like, well, I haven't noticed the same thing.
Did you watch him today?
I did watch him today. And I have to say, going back to what Coach Mack said earlier this week, he was talking about your fastball. He's like, a pass rusher needs a fastball and all that stuff, and then you perfect that fastball. And because you don't need a myriad, a big diverse tool set or whatever. And he was talking about that, and I was like, okay, today you got to see the speed to power from Femi Oladipo against the ones, against the twos, and the threes. You got to see it all level. But he was doing what we think is his main attribute in at least year one is that speed to power rush, and he was pretty effective with it today. That wasn't the only thing they did with Femi today.
Yeah, I saw they put him at linebacker.
Yeah, they did. They did put him at linebacker, and then they had James Williams still on the field, and he was out there rushing the passer. So, they're getting a little diverse, a little creative. Hopefully we don't get in trouble for saying that, but I did like to see that. I like to see that they're kind of utilizing both backgrounds of Femi. I don't want them doing it a lot because I really think that his primary job needs to be out there rushing the passer. But I do think that I don't think it was very effective, to say the least. But when he was just rushing the passer and he was just either setting the edge in the run game, I thought today he did a pretty good job of stuff that he improved upon that I didn't see these last few weeks at practice. Now, again, much like Cam Ward, it comes down to consistency and stacking good days, and I have not seen that from Femi throughout this practice. He'll have one good day, then it may be a couple of days where you don't really have a lot to say about him. So it's all about stacking those days for him.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how it's going to be. I'm going to really judge him based off what we see in the preseason, and then once the regular season gets started, I'm not going to get, even if he gets a whole bunch of sacks, it's like, okay, who was it against?
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not always about the result. It's sometimes the result of who was it against. Was it some proven pass rusher? Because it's going to be a totally different guy. Like we were saying that in practice, I guess, early last week, where he was going against the threes. Well, I mean, man, I want to see you go against the guys who actually start because that's who you're going to be playing against. And then all of a sudden he kind of disappeared like there was nothing. I mean, he was just another rusher. It was.
It's
so,
like when people got all up in arms.
Better?
Yeah,
how do you get better? You got to go against the guys that are good.
Yeah, it's like when people were all excited for Caleb Murphy, the guy that had like 20-something sacks from Ferris State a few years ago because he was dominating the preseason.
Right.
And I'm like, guys, it wasn't that good. I will say today, couple good reps from Femi on Dan Moore today. Mm-hmm. So, that is progress. Now we'll see what happens this week when it's a preseason game. Who's he going up against? All that matters. And I agree with you. All that matters. When we come back, we'll hear from Chimray DK of the Tennessee Titans rookie wide receiver, and stuff that he had to say about the scheme, what he learned from Florida, and all that kind of stuff. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. A tweet that kind of went under the radar from over the weekend that I'm not sure has gotten a lot of play. But this comes from Terry McCormick, who says that the early target return date for L'Jarius Sneed and Lloyd Cushenberry from PUP, the PUP list, is the week of Atlanta practice, though they probably won't see working drills versus the Falcons. So some point next week or some point after this game, we should see L'Jarius Sneed and Lloyd Cushenberry at some point come off the PUP list, which means that then they have, about 2 or 3 weeks of practice before the regular season starts. Is that enough time to get back into football shape and all that kind of stuff in your mind, Blaine?
I mean, these guys are veterans. You would hope so. You probably need a good 6 practices. Like, if it's during the season, no big deal. But during this time, I mean, man, they were off for so long. You know, one thing about Lloyd Cushenberry is we're talking about the center, so I'm sure he could work with doing snaps from under center, on the side with Cam. So remember, this would be their first time together. Then, rhythm and flow with the offensive line. That's always working as one. I'm big on that, man, because you got to have those guys on the same page. So hopefully staying up to bed. I mean, yeah, you got something to say about it?
No, that was my computer.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I didn't know who that was. I was like, hey, I heard something. I looked at Jack. He's looking at me cross-eyed like, well, I ain't saying nothing.
No, that was my computer.
So, yeah.
That was actually you on my computer.
Double down. And Sneed, I think, is a much bigger deal for me. Just the position, in theory, to me, is the hardest position to play athletically, people. Athletically, corner is the hardest, especially if you play a lot of man-to-man.
Yeah.
So that one there, man, I think you got to be practicing.
Yeah.
Especially for as long as he's been out. This wasn't just an off-season move. This is like most of the season, we only played 5 games.
Yeah. Yeah, played 5 games because he got injured in the game after the bye week. So 6 weeks is the only time he was actually football active, if you include the bye week.
Trying to think.
That's a long time.
Corner, just like if he was a safety, I don't think I would have.
Yeah.
You got
because like the Liz Frank injury with Quandre Diggs, you're probably not as worried about that because there's ways for him to probably work around that. But for corner, it's hard to hide.
Yeah, it's hard to hide. Exposed. Yeah, you're out there on a 1-on-1 island, man. And we saw him at times. We'd see him look like the old Sneed, and then we see him get outrun, in other games. And I'm like, man, wow, that doesn't look like the Sneed I saw at Kansas City.
Yeah.
So he was obviously having issues there. So before the quad, whatever, I don't know, of knee, I have no idea what his injury was, but. So, yeah, I would want to see him practice, and I would want to see him practice like back to back to back. I would want to see him practice 3 days in a row. And then I want to see him play in a game. I bet he won't even play in a game. Like I
would be very surprised.
I would be a nervous wreck if I'm a cornerbacks coach and head coaches go, he's not played since week 5 of last season, no live action, been rehabbing all off season. I don't know how much he's doing DB drills and working one-on-ones. I'm sure he's doing some of that at some point, but man, that's not the same as when you've been strategically working at, getting better at your technique. So I just...
That's a lot of time off.
That's a lot of time there for a guy that's built on man-to-man and, and running.
Yeah.
Like, most of those dudes out there, man, are, they world-class track athletes out there, man.
Right.
This is different. Man, you better be able to get on your horse and get to going. I mean, and coming off a knee,
especially if you're going up against the Denver Broncos week 1, Cortland Sutton probably provides a little bit of a, more of a favorable matchup for L'Jarius Sneed. Not a great matchup, but probably more favorable. But you're talking about a guy like Marvin Mims with some deep speed, Troy Franklin with some deep speed, Pat Bryant with some deep speed. Like, they got deep speed. So unless you're going to base your defense around a L'Jarius Sneed traveling with Cortland Sutton, he could be put in situations where he's going to get burnt kind of like what we saw with Alec Pierce doing to him in the Colts game last year before he even got injured.
Yeah. Hey, I may have taken it wrong. You guys can correct me. But I felt like when Callahan talked about Snead, it kind of alluded. He did not say this, but maybe it was just my interpretation that we were going to get to see Snead, practice a day or two, or that he was on schedule, like on a weekly basis. That's kind of what I took from, he'll probably practice here or there. We'll get to at least see him in training camp. Based off what he's just saying now, or, Terry McCormick tweet, I don't know if we'll get to see him in training camp. Really, the last week?
Well, remember at the owners' meeting, it was maybe definitely see him at training camp. Maybe definitely.
No.
then later, it was we should see him by training camp. And then we haven't seen him at training camp.
All right, now I'm going to switch it. From what Callahan said to what did Ladarius Snead say?
He's the healthiest he's ever been.
Yeah.
I don't think that was correct.
We get no practicing?
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I just, that's a tough position not to practice.
That's
almost as tough as quarterback mentally is the toughest position. But, man, you can't go out there without being mentally engaged. Like if you, had a head injury or something to cut or whatever, concussion, I don't know. And then you think, okay, he was off all off season and had most of the season for that issue. And then we're thinking him come out here, he's going to be sharp as a whip right off the bat. No, it's not going to happen.
It's interesting because they keep, Denard Wilson over the weekend, speaking of that quote, the other quote was from Denard Wilson at his press conferences, like the starting spot is L'Jarius Sneed as soon as he's healthy and ready to rock and roll. That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
But when does that actually happen? And is he put on a pitch count to start the year? If this is he going to play the full 50 snaps in a game? Or is he going to be rotating in and out? Like, are they going to have to ease him in with this injury, or you just kind of let it go? That's the question. I don't know if there's a correct answer, but that feels like the question, right? Like, couldn't L'Jarius Sneed start out on a pitch count?
Hey, man, I've never seen a quarter be on pitch count, but I get why you're saying that, though, because
we're up near the deadline.
If he doesn't play and then he only practices like 2 days, so he's going to be ready. He's going to be ready for what's coming with that big contract he got, because all eyeballs going to be watching him. So as soon as something happens bad, we'll be like.
And if anything, with the way the L'Jarius Sneed's talked, even though he did say he's healthy, he's ever been.
Healthy he's been. As healthy as he's been.
Which is a insane thing to say anyway. He did say in that same thing he's going to remind people who L'Jarius Sneed is.
He did. He was sound overcome. I got excited.
He's going to have to, because we've all hadn't seen him in a while. Well, he's going to have to remind us.
No, I got excited. I felt like I was about to see.
We were both excited.
Kansas City L'Jarius when he punked Tariq Hill and put him in the ground numerous times in the playoff game. I'm like, oh, that's the one we're going to get, because you don't talk like that. He said, we're going to remind people. He said something like this. Yeah. Remind people who I am.
Yeah. What you got, Jackson?
I lost my train of thought.
You lost your train of thought. Lost your train of thought. Well,
I got excited over his comments as well, and then I lost my train of thought.
Well, I'll tell you this. We kind of lost our train of thought in this segment because we were going to play the one-on-one with Chimray DK, but we'll do that when we come back. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. And so today I was able to go out at practice, obviously, but was out there, and I still got some more practice observations I want to get to. But I was able to get a little bit of a one-on-one for a short time with Chimray DK. Unfortunately, everybody noticed that I was over there talking to Chimray DK, didn't realize I was standing next to him doing a one-on-one interview, and they all had to join in. Everybody wants to be Zach, I guess. But I asked him a few questions, about Florida, about the scheme, about what they're asking him to do here with the Tennessee Titans. And so here's roughly about 3.5 minutes of me talking to Chimray DK out on the practice field. One-on-one with Chimray DK, Titans rookie wide receiver here for Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons. And DK, you've been moving all around the formation throughout these training camps, working the X, Z, and slot. Does that add any extra pressure in learning and working those three spots?
No, I think that, as you coming as a rookie, you want to learn the whole offense, learn every position. So if anything, it holds me accountable to that and make sure that I'm studying my playbook. And the vets have done a great job helping me learn it. And the rookies, we've came in and put extra time in the morning. So
awesome. You've been able to find the soft spots in the Titans defense. Is that a natural read thing for you, or is it a byproduct of the scheme?
I think it's both, right? Like the coaches, having a scheme, putting us in the right positions, and then players going out there making plays. So, it takes a lot of people to make an offense successful. So I just try to go execute my job as much as I can.
Does this scheme better utilize your more underrated skills, like your hand-head movement, to step up and set up DBs?
I think the scheme more just gives you the opportunity to make plays, right? Then allows you to be a player within it. And I'm really thankful that I'm able to work with Coach Callahan and the rest of the offensive coaches and be able to continue to improve.
What's been the biggest adjustment for you in the pros as a wide receiver?
I think just learning the playbook, right? Like it's a whole new offense, new environment, but at the same time, it's been going great. Having other rookies around me that I'm learning it with, and that we push each other. Then also just having really good veterans in our room that have helped us with any questions we have.
What's something new the Titans are asking you to work on or do that you haven't really worked on in the past?
I don't know if there's anything in specific that I haven't worked on, right? Like there's obviously things I improve on, but there's stuff constantly that you're working on, right? Like speed cuts, like that's something that I've been working on for as long as I've been playing football, and I'm still working on it. You know what I mean? Like it's always ways that you can get better. And one of my favorite quotes is, "You haven't arrived, and the best ones never do." So just continue to work and fine tune my craft.
Off-script plays are a common thing in the NFL. How are you and Cam Ward building up that level of comfort and communication with the off-script plays?
Yeah, I think it's understanding the scramble rules that we said, and also just being players, right? Kind of hearing what he thinks, getting reps with him, seeing other receivers have success in scramble drill, see what they do, and then just kind of take it from there. And at the end of the day, just be a player and play fast.
Have you had an aha moment with getting coached up by Tyke Tolbert? Dan Moore talks about hand movement that he's learned from Bill Callahan. He's been in the league for 4 years. He's like, I've never thought of it that way. Have you had an aha moment from Tyke Tolbert himself?
Coach Tolbert does a great job of just helping us every single day. I couldn't even pick out one thing because there's just so many things. He pushes us and he cares about his players a lot. So, I'm thankful to have Coach Tolbert in our room and leading us, but I couldn't pinpoint one thing out.
Finally, I was watching the SEC documentary Any Given Saturday, and I was, pointing out to my wife, I was like, hey, that's the Titans wide receiver that they just drafted scoring touchdowns. But you got a kind of a unique experience playing with both Graham Mertz and DJ Lagway, who are kind of stylistically a little different. Has that helped with your adjustment to Cam Ward?
Yeah, I think having played with different QBs throughout college, even when I was at Wisconsin, having 3 quarterbacks during my time there, just allows you to be able to adjust to what other people are seeing. But at the end of the day, I think the biggest thing is just getting these reps in, continue to work, continue to, have Cam communicate with us receivers, and take it one day at a time.
Awesome. Thanks, Jim. Blaine, first off, how would you grade my questions? We got the film. We had the audio. How would you grade the questions?
Well, it really doesn't matter. I think I agree. How do you think you did?
I think I did all right.
Jackson, what do you think?
I think you did a great job.
Well, I appreciate it, Jackson.
I thought you did pretty good too.
I did think that, kind of watching Cam Ward play in this, because you get to see Miami versus Florida in this SEC documentary.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of prompted one of my comments or my questions about the off-script plays, because you see Cam Ward kind of moving out around the pocket, and then he throws it to, I don't know who it
That
was.
was the first game of the season.
Yeah, first game of the season. He was throwing it to, I can't remember the receiver, but it's off script. And I'm kind of thinking, okay, are Chimray DK and Cam Ward kind of working through that? Obviously with Elikai Manor and all the other ones, but how do you work through those off script plays? And I thought it was interesting that right there. But I
think it was too early to ask that question.
You think it was too early?
Because he hadn't played in the game.
That is true.
So
that is true.
Here's what I would have asked him that you didn't touch on. You touched on a lot of good stuff. I'm here for did you ever imagine the guy that whooped your butt in the first game that you be on the same team with him? See how he would respond to that.
Ooh,
yeah, Jackson. Yeah, you bring the heat.
Just bring the heat outside in the heat.
Hey, laughing, but at the same time, man, the same guy that torched y'all, man, how shocking. Were you watching him and then thought, oh, man, now the draft came and now we're teammates? Oh, my gosh. Were you super excited?
Yeah, because are you excited or are you like, oh, man, this guy torched
he kind of torched us, man. I got to get to know him.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. I'm gonna keep that one in for a lot of guys. I'm gonna start remembering that one.
Oh, you always gotta have something in the back pocket there. Jackson taught me that a long time ago.
But I do think
that blowtorch out there, man.
But he has been a guy that has showed up at camp, and he's talking about his speed outs. That's something that he was been working on. Because we haven't really seen him be used consistently to stretch vertically the field, but he has been a guy that has gone from like the left side to the right side, kind of stretching that field a little bit more horizontally. And people are making fun of my notepad. Apparently, listen, I'm a old school guy. I like notepads, paper, and all that kind of stuff. I know it probably doesn't look like it, but I like to have like 10 of them at the helm. So I like to write down, feel the ink, feel the paper. No, most media I don't think uses notepads now. They're all using their phones.
But talking about DK,
sorry,
I still haven't. No, it's fun. This is all fun and games. But man, I still haven't seen this 4.3 speed.
Yeah,
I haven't. Man, do you? Okay, him and Calvin really are the same speed. Do you feel like it's that kind of speed?
No, not yet.
Right. So I'm waiting in a game to see that kind of woo. I mean, man, and when you see it 4.3 and 4.4, it is a difference. And as a player, especially me covering some people that was running right by me. I want to see that. I haven't seen it like that. Now, he could be one of those build-up guys. I don't know what is, it's 4.3. He did run it, at the combine, so obviously. So I want to see that because that is different.
Yeah, I would love to see that in the preseason, even if it's against 2 or 3s, because it's still the speed.
Yeah, you will see it. I mean, I don't care if because you don't know that. Oh man, he looked almost like he had took a parachute off his back and took off. Yeah, so it will be something special to see. So I can't wait to see that. It's kind of hard to see that at practice. Really, you don't, unless you're just zooming in on him, then they probably don't even throw to him or he's not open or just whatever.
Because I only think he's been targeted on maybe 2 deep balls that I can remember, and maybe I'm off on that. And I'm specifically, and that's including Brandon Allen, Tim Boyle, and Cam Ward. But it seems like, again, they're like having him stretch the field horizontally. I don't know if that's a teaching thing because they're comfortable with what he could provide deep. I don't know, but I'm with you. You haven't seen the track speed yet. Mm-hmm. I don't even recall. I mean, I recall maybe a couple of plays for Florida where he showed that
absolutely.
Speed.
Yeah.
But, you want to see it in the NFL too. Speed should translate. So maybe we'll get to see a glimpse of that in the preseason. Listen, if I have to wait till the regular season to see it, I'm not going to be too upset as long as I get to see it.
Yeah, there was a couple times he got clipped up by the shoestrings, and I thought, he should have got away. And if he's as fast as I thought he was when I was watching his college tape, obviously. that he would have got away from that. So you just don't know how fast the guy who was actually chasing them, how fast they were and where they were in the process of running. Was that the first 20? Was it how fast are guys in shorter windows compared to longer windows? It's a big difference. So I think people don't equate that. They always just say, "Oh, he took a bad angle." No, he didn't. He's not a long-winded. He doesn't get faster. He gets fast quick, and then it just tails off, and he just hangs on to the speed he has, or he gets faster as he goes.
Yeah.
I mean, boy, and that's why when you see DBs running with a guy and they right by each other, and the ball gets in there, all of a sudden you see this burst of poof, and the guy pulls away from like, how did that happen? No, because he's getting faster as he goes.
Yeah.
The other guy's already maxed out on the speed. See,
Yeah.
That's why. It's like, oh, man, yeah, he's not fast. Well, yeah, that guy's just way faster than him on long speed.
Dixie on the chat says, wasn't DK a surprising pick? And I would say so. He was a guy that, I think most quote unquote draft experts had him in the 6th or 7th round. But again, we don't know how teams view these guys. Isaac Teslaw, who got drafted in the 3rd round, is a pretty good example of that. It's a guy that I was really high on. And listen, Chimray DK, along with Isaac Teslaw down at the Senior Bowl, had really good moments. Mm-hmm. And I would say that probably Chimray was probably the 2nd best wide receiver to Isaac Teslaw down there at the Senior Bowl from a day-to-day consistency, consistent practice. But he's also a guy that, you didn't really know what you were getting with him. Like, same with Isaac Teslaw. I mean, he's an Arkansas offense. What translates, what doesn't. And I kept saying, hey, he's really good. I mean, the Tennessee Titans, I know, loved Isaac Teslaw just as much as the Lions did. Lions end up getting him in the 3rd. Well, they take Chimray DK. Chimray DK, maybe in the NFL circles, NFL team world, was a lot higher than what people think in the draft world. That happens all the time. Mm-hmm. So just because it was a surprising pick to us doesn't mean it was a surprising pick to the rest of the NFL.
Right. No doubt about it. And with that speed and running that for kind of 40, that kind of boosts you up. So, yeah, I'm probably more shocked that they took 2.
Yeah.
Like, that's more.
Well, I think at that point, Elikai Manor was just too good to pass up being that far down.
Like,
they probably lucked into something. We'll see. Hard to luck into 2-4. But right now, the way that they got DK moving in and out of the first-string lineup with Tyler Lockett, going all around the formation as well, he may make a more of an impact sooner than even Elikai Manor, who most people thought was going to be a 2nd-round pick in the NFL draft. So it just goes to show you just don't know sometimes how these NFL teams view either medicals, what they see on tape, and all this kind of stuff that we don't have privy to. Maybe it's interview stuff. You never know. But
I think moving him around is more about he's an inside-outside, and they're trying to figure out how to move him around. He's kind of a move-around guy because he did that even at Florida. He wasn't always just on the inside. So, but they did use him on like reverses and stuff like that. I mean, so he's kind of a poor man's, I want to say, Ridley to a certain extent. And so I would probably say that's probably what's going to happen at some point.
Yeah.
Not this year, but at some point. So they're looking down the road. So, yeah, he's got a lot of upside. Learning all positions, you're always, trying to find the best way to get on the field as quick as possible. So he may get out there before Alec Manor. You just never know.
I kind of get the sense that that's where it's trending right now.
What's been your view on Alec Manor now with the pads on?
Listen, he had a good catch today in 7-on-7s. But that was the one on 11-on-11s, and he was out of bounds on that one. That was the one-hander out of bounds.
It was still beautiful. He should get the catch because he caught it.
No.
I mean, it was a beautiful catch.
It was a beautiful catch. He apparently saved his best practice over the weekend for when I wasn't going to be there. Apparently Saturday was his best practice. But when the pads came on, Chimray DK continued his trend with the pads off. Elikai Manor, I have to say, hasn't, in my opinion. We'll see, but I would say that, again, we're going back to being a 4th-round wide receiver and your chances of being an impact year 1. I was starting to lean Elikai Manor with the pads off, but Chimray DK was right there with him. But now that the pads are on, I would think that Chimray DK is your best shot of having a 4th-round wide receiver 1 year 2 actually making an impact for your team in some form or fashion.
I'll be watching. I can't really say. I just know that he hasn't had the impact that I was seeing when there was no pads as far as Elikai Manor. So
it'll be interesting to watch him in Tampa Bay. Because, those Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, I don't want people to go crazy with this comparison, but when you're talking about body type and skill sets and stuff like that, you kind of feel like, okay, Elikai Manor and Chimray DK kind of like those guys. They're not those guys, pedigree-wise, but they kind of have similar traits and attributes to them. But I want to see how much are they going to be involved with Cam Ward at quarterback, specifically in the preseason. And we'll hear from Brian Callahan on what he had to say about Cam Ward and his playing time in the preseason when we come back. This Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Store. 615-737-1045 is the number. I want to have some quick hits here with the some guys I thought stood out at training camp. Talked about Femi Oladejo already. I did think there were a lot of plays where he was setting the edge in the run game pretty well. He allowed, Cedric Gray, I think, to come in and make a tackle on a play. And
I wasn't out
run
there
game
today, so I didn't.
So he looked pretty good. He also looked good against, a couple of the ones and Dan Moore and stuff. But Cedric Gray, who I just mentioned, I've noticed this over a lot of practices now. The practices I've been out there with Cedric Gray is that something I questioned about his draft tape. So his tape over at North Carolina, but his diagnosing and quick triggering on these run plays, he's in that gap so quick. You would think that he was a defensive lineman. And that's something that stood out again today. So I get that Cedric Gray is your quote unquote second string on the unofficial depth chart for the Tennessee Titans, but he is a guy that his processing and diagnosing has shown up just as much to me as Cody Barton's, but you could see a definitive improvement from where he was last year as a rookie and even where he was in college. And that's a good sign if you're the Tennessee Titans, even if you're not getting him in the first string lineup.
Well, so that means he's pushing for some playing time.
I think he is. Like, I understand that James Williams has mainly been with the ones, and I understand that the depth chart shows that he's with the ones, but I heard Denard Wilson over the weekend, or maybe in Frank Bush, I can't remember which one it was, the linebackers coach for the Tennessee Titans, but they said that this competition next to Cody Barton is still open, and Cedric Gray may be a guy that's, going to be changing their mind on this. I mean, he's looked really good. At the very least, you got a really good third linebacker no matter what. So
he's also playing the other spot too as well. It's pretty much interchangeable, but it is different. So you got to put your eyes at different spots. But that's exciting to know.
Yeah.
As long as he stays healthy, I think that's what put him behind the 8-ball last year. Just getting injured and really not having an impact on special teams until the end of the season.
I want to talk about this with Cam Ward in 11 on 11s. I didn't have the best vantage point. Camp was crowded in there. I think it was friends and family and all this kind of stuff. There's a lot of people on the sidelines where media is at that's normally not there. And but Cam Ward, what I did get to see about Cam Ward, and this continues to be the same trend we've kind of harped on his tape in college, what we've seen in training camp in a couple of different practices now we've talked about on the show. I don't know if it's because I saw the worst pocket presence and movement last year and it felt like in forever, but Cam Ward continues to have just this knack and feel for pressure while standing in the pocket, and he doesn't really look to bail out of the pocket. He's moving up into the pocket to make plays, and that showed up in the 2-minute drill on several occasions where he's navigating a muddy pocket and letting his offensive lineman run a defender out behind him out of the play. So out of all the things you could say about Cam Ward, pocket presence is something that has just been off the charts so far in training camp.
Yeah, it's one of the things I talked about last week when he was having some decent days. He just has a natural knack. It's one of those intangible things that you can't really coach. He's got that. And some of it would say it because, you really can't plan on how you feel when you're back there dropping back for a pass. And he can feel it. He fills the gaps. Tom Brady's one of the best at just filling gaps, especially a guy who wasn't very mobile. So that's just, man, that's pretty cool to see that. I haven't seen that in a long time from a young quarterback, how natural it is. That's why I keep saying he's a true quarterback. Like all those intangible things, you don't have to teach him. So then that covers up anything that maybe athletically, as far as his arm talent, that, you don't really see. Like, is his arm a big arm? Nah, I wouldn't say he's got a big arm. Like, I'd say he's got a good enough arm. I'm not going to say that. I mean, that he's horrible or anything like that as far as his arm strength. But I think it's good enough. But I wouldn't put him out there and say, oh, he's going to be one of the strongest throwing like Joe Milton and Will Levis and all these big arm. I'm just naming guys who are young. But, they would outthrow him every day. Yeah, because they hit the backside of a barn. It's always more important to hit the X on the spot than having this big arm they can throw away down the field. So because you're making more throws of that than anything else. So he's got it. And I think he just has it, to be honest. So, his mental makeup really is what's the difference maker. And to me, that's what, is making him special. So he's unnerved, unwavered, and, he's a leader. He's got all the qualities that he will be, at worst case scenario, a good starting quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, it's just he seems unflappable. And not only is he unflappable after he makes a mistake, he's unflappable when everything could be crashing in around him and able to navigate that chaos like he does. He looks like a magician without having to, like, I guess when a player touches you and then you have to, like Eli Manning did in that Super Bowl catch to David Tyree where he, like, pulls himself out, then he has to go out, outside and make the throw on the run. He's doing all this in a pocket that is, holding up, but it's a very small pocket when you're talking about that cylinder. And he is stepping up in there. And, you can go to many plays last year where the quarterback was not stepping up into the pocket for the Tennessee Titans, even when it was a clean one, maybe not perfect, but at least clean. It may have been tight. But he's able to navigate in that phone booth back there and stay calm under pressure. And to your point, I don't know, there's not really a stat that measures it or anything, but you see it. You see it every time he steps on the field. He has that it factor. It's just, it's insane.
So the it, though, is how much is he going to play?
Yeah.
I heard Callahan kind of allude to like 1 or 2 series.
Well, let's do it.
What did he actually say?
Well, we got clip number 8 for you there. But here is what his plan is with Cam and the starters for preseason based on what Brian Callahan said this morning.
Yeah, we're going to play. Our starters are going to play. We're going to play in all 3 preseason games. That's just like we did last year, similar process. The joint practices do change a little bit of how much, you kind of gauge how physical the practice is and how much those guys might need, but they're going to play in every game and we're going to let Cam play. So he's going to be on the field playing football. Hard to say how much at the moment. We'll work through that as we get to the practice tomorrow, but I would imagine for sure a series and maybe 2 in the first game with the starters. So he'll play.
Okay, so he alludes to what he did last year. Now, this time they're going to play in every preseason game.
What did he do last year? Do we know?
Let's look it up while we're doing
Jackson's real good with that info, like off the cuff. You have random information that you usually know.
But I will say this, last year, looking at the Tennessee Titans, it was that very first series. And remember, Will Levis ends the series like throwing his whole body across the goal line. San Francisco 49ers. So they were San Francisco, Seattle, then at New Orleans.
Oh. I only remember the New Orleans. But
Will Levis played, he had 6 dropbacks. That's just on passing, so let me do this. He had in preseason game 1, 14 total snaps. Preseason game 3, 18 total snaps. He had 0 in preseason game 2.
Oh.
So at least here, Brian Callahan's saying they're going to play in every game. But my worry is we're only getting 1 padded practice with Tampa Bay. Is if he has a good practice or a bad practice, is he going to maybe just play him 1 series or 2, kind of like he said? And is that enough? Like, I know that it's up to the coach to judge that. They're there at practice. They see how hard it's going. But I just want to see Cam Ward not only play with Tyler Lockett, Calvin Ridley, and Van Jefferson, but I want to see him play with Elikai Manor, Chimray DK, and Bryce Oliver. To your point yesterday, we want to see him play with the young guys too.
Yeah, so I don't know. How much would you play him?
I think I would go a full quarter. Now, listen, that may only be 2 drives, right? Sometimes that is a full quarter is only 2 drives, and that's what you're stuck with. But I would think I would go for the first game maybe a quarter with or drive with the ones, drive with the and when I say ones, I mean Tony Pollard, Chig, and the receivers. And then first string offensive line, anytime that Cam's out there. But in the second drive, first team offensive line, and then all the rookies and Bryce Oliver as your pass catchers and Tajay Spears as your running back. I'd like to see him do it that way. And because, Calvin Ridley likely doesn't need 2 series. Tony Pollard likely doesn't need 2 series, but I think the offensive line does. Cam Ward does for sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning into what you're speaking there. I think it's how that looks, really, for me. Not that it's bad or not. Like, I can't say I'd play him 1 or 2 series win. What if he goes 3 and out both series?
Oof, yeah.
6 plays. I can't. I'm like, that's why I don't want to make. That's probably why he's not making a commitment. Yeah. But I want to see somewhere where he gets first downs and moves the team, whether you get a field goal or nothing or a touchdown. It doesn't really matter. But I want to see the team move with you at the helm.
Yeah.
I think that would probably be my feel. You have a young team. There's a lot at stake here, and we need to get him out here. And some veteran guys are not going to be happy on the offensive line, but we got to play. We got to play because I can't have him out here with, backups out here. So,
they need to get used to him.
Yeah, I get your mind right, and we got to get ready to go. We're trying to accomplish something. Yeah. So if they want to be the surprise team in the AFC,
right, gotta play.
You got to get out here. So, yeah, I would say I'd got to at least see 2 series.
Yeah,
for me.
Two moderately lengthy series.
Like I'm seeing movement. Yeah, they move, get some first downs, but I don't know. Way he was talking there, and then one practice is not enough. What are you doing? And then it's probably not even going to be full pads, is it? I mean, they play Saturday. This is a Thursday practice versus another team. It'd probably be just shoulder pads, not full pads. So I just don't know, man.
I look at it like this.
Yeah, he parlayed it as though if I see something good there, the physicality.
But if I see something good, I want him to capitalize that in a game. Because, that's what's going to happen in the regular season when you're practicing. You're going to see a good practice. Don't you want to see him also duplicate that in a game-like situation?
Yeah, I'm all about the game now. I didn't see a whole bunch of heroes in practice, and then they get in the game, and he'd be like, this dude is not that.
Yeah. Well, you talk about the offensive line. Right. The offensive line maybe needs to play. I think we both agree the starting offensive line, if Cam Ward's out there, they're out there. And the reason why I would also do that, not only just to protect Cam Ward, but Cam Ward is going to have plays, probably even in the preseason, where he's going to be scrambling outside of the pocket. And you, as an offensive lineman, probably needs to get used to how your quarterback plays in a game situation to kind of know and get that natural feel to the game instead of just doing run. Here's a couple of passes. Maybe you got a touchdown. Then we're taking you out. Good job, Cam. See you next week.
Well, I heard somebody see right here on the chat, oh, my tie, or whatever. Something like that. Play Cam the first half of every preseason game. Don't care what the backups look like.
To be honest, I really don't care what Tim Boyle looks like and all those guys.
That's why I kind of laugh, because I kind of agree with that. To a certain extent, man, and that's not still giving us a true test of what it's like in a regular season.
Because what if Tampa Bay rests their starters? So maybe some of the stuff you're getting in the second drive, let's say, is going to be against the twos. So if he looks really good, how much can we really take away from that?
Or if he looks not so good.
Well, then that may tell you something different, right? Especially if the offensive line is still under duress against that. It's preseason is you got to keep a level head about you and always keep in mind, who are they playing against? And with Malik Willis, we talked about it last year. He looked good. Sure, it was against 2s and 3s, but he looked good because we've seen him against 2 or 3s the previous 2 years where he didn't look so good. Mm-hmm. So then he looked good. So that's progress. Yeah. With Cam Ward, we're still trying to figure out where that all lies, right? Mm-hmm. And to be honest, the way that Jeremy Fowler talked in his latest piece from his training camp visit was that Brandon Allen, I don't know who fed this to him, but they're going to be looking at the backup quarterbacks around the league. They've even floated out making a possible trade for a veteran quarterback.
Oh, my man Winston, right?
Maybe, I don't know. But, like, again, you know what I'm saying? Like, this maybe if these two, Brandon Allen and Tim Boyle, don't live up to any kind of standard in preseason against 2s and 3s, we may be looking at needing a backup quarterback for this team. I think no matter how they look, you probably need a backup quarterback for this team. But that's my opinion. I'm just one man. But I don't know. Like, I'm going to be so interested to see, does Callahan play it almost exactly like he played it last year? Because he's not playing training camp like he did last year. It's not the same kind of training camp or anything like that. He's making stuff harder and all this kind of stuff. So if you're going to make stuff harder in practice, shouldn't you maybe level up the difficulty in preseason? You know what I'm saying? Like giving him more reps in preseason, not, in these games.
Man, I don't know what the coaches think. So, that's why they're coaches.
Yeah.
So I have no idea. But
that's such a tough decision, by the way.
It is. I would lean into playing, but man, I'd be so caught in the middle as a coach because, like, dang, I don't want to be out here, and then I can't put him out here with the backup offensive line. I got to get the receivers out here. I mean, there's so many thoughts here. So he'll probably just end up playing like a quarter, and then we'll be all happy, and then we'll be, just okay.
But I'm with you. It's kind of like the length and the quality of the drives matters more than the quantity of the drives.
Yes. Like if he goes out there and drives them down, gets a field goal or a touchdown, I'll be like, all right, let's go.
Yeah. A little bit of 50-50 pass and run along the way, so you get to see a little bit from the offensive line and the run game and the pass game. But man, it's a big risk when you're getting out here in these preseason games because you never know what could happen. So
what did Poobah say? What do you say? How much do they play him?
How much are they going to play him, or how much I think they should play him?
You the Poobah. You got your own opinion. How much you think he should play? You're the
I'd like
coach.
to see a quarter.
There you go.
Even
but
if
I
he
also
does horrible.
Say that again.
If he does horrible.
If he doesn't look good in the first round, they go 3 and out. You have to bring him out.
And the quarter's up. What are you doing?
Quarter's up, and they're out there. I let him finish the drive.
You gonna let him play? It goes into the second quarter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't. And
that's what I said. That's how
this
things
is the competitor.
change.
The competitor in me says, "Oh, we ain't ending this on a 3 and out."
I don't think Cam Ward would be like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He'd be like, "Hey man, I gotta get another series."
Yeah,
man.
yeah. Give me another one out there. Yeah. Give me another one out there. We got a little bit of break between the quarters. Give me another one out there. Yeah. That's where I'm at. All right, cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons right here on 104.5 The Zone.
Did you know Eurofix has a very different business philosophy? They staff all their locations with more staff than the average auto repair shop, just so they can be ready when an emergency pops up out of nowhere. Have you ever noticed how hard it is to get a right now appointment for a vehicle repair? Where some dealers can be more than 2 weeks out just to get an appointment, but not Eurofix. Eurofix has been offering quality repairs that beat the dealer without the dealer pricing since 1999. Plus a 3-year nationwide warranty with the staff to fix your car right now. So if you're tired of waiting forever to get your car into the repair shop, then call Eurofix. Owner Aaron Stokes says we will never be too busy for our customers. We're here to take their pain away, and we mean right now. And Eurofix repairs all European cars, and Eurofix says yes to speedy repairs when others can't or won't. Family owned for over a quarter of a century. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can visit them online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com. But always some places.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. Joint practices start up tomorrow. I believe the Tennessee Titans have already left for Tampa Bay. Or if not, they're probably leaving here soon.
Joint practice
Tomorrow. Yeah, I guess I said practices.
with Tampa Bay only one.
Yeah. Joint practice tomorrow. Buck will be down there for that as well. Here's what Brian Callahan had to say on being on the road for the next 9 days for this Tennessee Titans team.
Good morning. Really excited for today to get on the road, get a chance to go about 9 days on the road and go play against some other teams. Get some joint practices tomorrow at Tampa, get a chance to go to Atlanta. Really excited about the opportunity for our team to be on the road together. That's sort of the intent of the whole trip. Spend some time, get a chance to grow together, and then get to go play against some other teams. And one of the things that I'm really looking for is what do those teams say about us when we leave? You know, what do they say about how we play, the intensity we practice with? Those are all things that we get a chance to go make an imprint of what our team can be this year, and that's the starting point. Get a chance to go play against somebody else and show what we're all about and go compete, which would be really fun. And get a chance to do some things as a team on the road, some events together, things like that. It's something I'm really looking forward to. Can't wait.
What do you think about, being on the road for 9 days and all that kind of stuff? Does that really build the camaraderie that they're doing some events too, but does that really build up, that team building aspect that he seems to be emphasizing?
I don't know. I've never done that.
Oh, okay.
Not for a 2-week window. No.
Yeah.
No, I've never done that. That's kind of a newer thing, I would say, the last, 5 to 10 years. So I've never done it. So I don't know about that builds up car. You would think, that seems like that would, but I don't know, man. At the end of the day, you just got to win games.
Yeah.
And I mean, we could talk about semantics and it could help, but I'd be more worried about, well, what if they said something negative to you when you left?
Well, that's what I was about to ask.
That's it. Like, well, what are you going to do about that?
Right.
Like, okay, well, I mean, how do you take in bad information about your team if they go, oh, man, you guys going to be struggling on offense. Oh, man, your defense has no pass rush. They're telling you things that already you don't know. I mean,
right. Well, it's funny because, he's talked about, and I believe it popped up in the quarterback documentary with Joe Burrow, but it's like you feel after you never these teams. I believe he's even Jared Goff and Joe Burrow, but they said you feel playing the Tennessee Titans afterwards. They were not a team that you thought were as bad as what their record indicated, is what they said, and that's what he said. He got the vibes from this team is that we left an imprint on them. There's been a lot of questions about the intensity at these practices for the Tennessee Titans and all that stuff. We've litigated that.
Are we confusing intensity to energy?
I mean, I don't know. I've kind of viewed them sort of the same.
I remember I didn't think that was an issue.
I didn't think it was an issue, but I mean, I just mean, I guess the general it's been a topic discussion.
Intensity and energy.
I didn't really, I guess
what did you want to see when you...
I was okay with practices. I'm just saying that the general perception.
Right, no.
Yeah.
Consensus by the media, yeah.
Yeah. But he says, what do they say about us when we leave? And I'm I'm kind of with you. My first thought was, that's an interesting way to put it. Mm-hmm. But what if it's not what you want to hear? Mm-hmm. And they could be not what you want to hear. But he did talk about what he thought practice would look like in Tampa. And here's what Brian Callahan had to say about that.
Pretty similar to a practice here, points of emphasis. On a one-day practice with Tampa will be a little bit different than a 2-day practice with Atlanta. You get it. The 2 days give you some chances to break some things up, but you'll see all the major situations. You'll see some third down. You'll see red zone. You'll see 2-minute. All the stuff that we work here every day. It'll be good to go against somebody else.
So
he jumped to the 2-day with Atlanta.
Yeah. I mean, he was oh, you'll be able to do more stuff with the 2 days, but, right. Here it's going to be more kind of probably what we have seen, because he mentions red zone, 3rd and long, 2-minute drill. So more of what we've seen just against a different defense. But what if this Tampa Bay team. I guess maybe he polls the coaches, I guess, and maybe coaches talk about what they see or what they feel, or maybe they overhear players talking. What if it's not good? How does Brian Callahan change that between now, Saturday, after the preseason game, and practices with Atlanta next week while being on the road at the same time?
Well, I just always feel like when you're going against another team, I don't think you're ever going to come out of there feeling like bad. Like there's going to be some good, there's going to be some bad, and just where are those issues at, and there's something you can't correct, or can you get the players to correct? I just don't feel like you'll come out like, oh man, we're not very good. Like if that happens, then the alarm bells got to come on.
Yeah.
Hey man, we're in trouble. So even with the Tampa Bay, they made the playoffs last year. I think they won 10 games.
Yep,
maybe
they did,
something like that. Yeah, and so they have a good quality team. So they'll get tested in some areas, and they got a bunch of receivers, some proven guys, some young guys. We'll see how their O-line does against our D-line. I mean, you just kind of look at the matchups. Mayfield has been hurt, but I think he's practiced a day or two here recently. So Trask doesn't scare me at all. So just him functioning as if he was the number one, I think, then the defense could kind of feel a little more comfortable, at least in the passing game.
Yeah.
Anyway, but he's capable. I think we're going to come away feeling, just in the middle. But I guess here's what I will say, though. Players are going to be a little more juicy. And when I say juicy, that means it's going to be a little more what you talking about, intensity, energy. I think it will be just because you're going against somebody else. It kind of gets dull going against the same guys over and over, and you know really what they're doing. They know what you're doing. They know your strengths. They know your weaknesses. So it's getting to going against another, man, it's just like having fresh meat on that bone, man. You know that dog bone you give to your dog, man, that you give him that steak, you can give, oh, man, you ain't never gave me this one. Oh, this one's fresh. Ooh, I can see the red meat right here. Well, that's exactly what happens. You say, this is fresh meat, and we get to go out here and go against them. So let's see how we match up. See who's really competitive. Because some guys get to the back of the line, and, when you're doing one-on-ones, and some guys get up to the front of the line, and you only get your one shot.
I bet Mason Kinsey will be up in that front of the line. If anything, if we've seen anything from Mason Kinsey, because he wants to get up there.
And that's why I love me some Mason Kinsey. That's why I kept using, I don't know if he's going to be better than Restrepo. I mean, Restrepo better watch out now. Mason Kinsey is all about that action. Guess what? He plays with, I have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
There you go.
And so that's what made him successful so far, hanging on to the league. So guess what? He knows he's playing, and maybe Tampa Bay needs a receiver one day. He never know.
They have a lot of them, though. But you never know.
Never know.
Yeah.
Hey, somebody else may be there watching. You never know. Scouts are everywhere.
All right, that will do it for us. 3HL's up next. They're live from Fozzie's down in Cool Spring. This has been Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone. And in the meantime,
and in between time.
Peace.